Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles. Again, I am by myself today because Neon is elsewhere. For this video, we're going to talk about the box office for Turning Red. If you weren't aware, we talked about before, coming into 2024, Disney was going to put out a Pixar film in January, which was Soul, in February, which was Turning Red, and in March, which is going to be Luca. And they are not doing well, in surprise to pretty much no one, because they've been on Disney Plus for years, some of them. They're not going to go to the box office and do well, especially in a box office that already, they said, for where it is, it's down. I mean, the box office has not been great. Even for new movies, they're not performing. They're not performing at least to the level, when some of the wins that they're celebrating are very low compared to what you would have considered a win just a few years ago. People just aren't going to the box office like they used to, unless it's some big movie like Barbie or, Mario Brothers. They're just not going, and they sure as hell aren't going to the movie theater to see a movie they can watch on Disney Plus. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo, and we're going to talk about this. So, last month we did a video talking about how Soul went out to the box office, because a lot of these movies they're putting out in the box office, they might have been released in other countries, but they really weren't released over here because the pandemic happened. And when the pandemic happened, Soul was supposed to be released to theaters. They ended up just putting it on Disney Plus, I think at Christmas time. Turning Red and Luca were other ones that were supposed to go to the theaters, but they ended up putting them on Disney Plus. And if you remember, we talked before about how at Pixar, they felt kind of demoralized because all their films were just being sent directly to Disney Plus as fodder for subscribers instead of going to theatrical releases. Now, Turning Red was released theatrically in other countries that did not have Disney Plus, and it did about 20 million then. So they already have some money on the books for that one, but it did not do very well this weekend. Now, Soul, when it was released, it was only at 1,350 locations. It only brought 429,000 in over 3 days, and about 557,000, not million, thousand in for the 4-day over Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend. Okay, it did not do well. It didn't even do $600,000 for 4 days. Didn't do well. So to follow it up, Turning Red is going to actually probably do in some ways better, some ways worse. It's in more locations. It's like in 1,560 locations. It's estimated to only bring 535,000 in. Now, that's only for 3 days. It doesn't have the extra 4th day that the Soul movie did. For their first 3 days, it's only going to be 535,000. That's it. Not million, thousand. This came from boxofficereport.com. The reissue of Disney Pixar's Turning Red grossed an estimated 535,000 domestically this weekend, and it had like 200 locations more than the other one did, about 210 locations more. Still didn't do as well, but it only had we're going by 3 days and not a 4-day holiday. They probably picked Turning Red ahead of Valentine's Day. Because remember all the articles, Turning Red's a horny movie and all that stuff. And it's love, they love the boy band, and she starts having crushes on boys. That's Valentine's Day. So, it was ahead because of probably Martin Luther King Jr. Day is why they picked what they did for that one. It is what it is. That's probably what happened. But they're not doing well with this. And they were going to do well with this. I don't understand why people were surprised. Like the media's shock. Oh, I can't believe it. They were never going to do well. And I have to wonder, in the amounts they're making, I have to think that the promotion alone and the distribution probably cost more than what they're bringing in for these films. I mean, I get they've been out for a while. They've been done for a while. They probably done the write-offs on these. They went by the Disney subscribers, Disney Plus subscribers, or whatever box office money they got in some of these films. But they're spending all this money to take them out to theaters and promote it and all this other stuff and give cuts and things like that, because that's before the theaters got their cuts. And they're probably going to be definitely at a loss by the time it's over with these. But is that intentional, though? That's what I have to wonder, because there's no way they thought they'd make more money. I know they said they were doing it to get something in the box office, so people keep remembering Disney in the box office before we get the new movies. And I understand that, but it would have made sense to do that last year, not this year, when we're going to start having new films. So I'm wondering if the whole purpose of this was to get a write-off, a write-down, whatever you want to say it is, like some kind of tax break, because they were never going to make money. It was probably going to lose them money, but then they can use those losses to, oh, look, we lost money. Can we write that off on our taxes? Yeah, and I have to wonder something like that, because otherwise it makes absolutely no sense to do this. And the problem was, if I said about the Pixar people being demoralized when they kept putting these on Disney Plus and not going to theaters. And then we led to, Lightyear in theaters. And we all know what happened with that. And then Elemental initially bombed. I still think if it made money, it didn't make a lot, but it did come out a little bit ahead at the end. Again, didn't make a lot of money. And that was the other Pixar movie, but I probably did better than Wish. We still know that this year, Pixar is expected to make layoffs. In the second half of the year in 2024, we have heard this. We talked about this on a video. When was this? January. Yeah, last month. We talked about it in a video that TechCrunch said that sources of Pixar estimate that as much as 20% of the workforce was going to be let go, and Pixar would be left with less than 1,000 employees. Now, we also know that Iger has announced that we are going to be getting another Toy Story movie. And we're doing Inside Out 2. Now, Inside Out 2 is coming out this year, so most of the people that are going to be gone already finished that film. But we're getting supposedly a Toy Story movie. So is this what's left going to be working on that? Or are they just going to roll these people into other studios or send it to Canada, send Pixar someplace else? You have to wonder, because now it's come out that they have different projects in production in Canada. And they're laying off people at Pixar this year. I don't know. I'm just saying. We have Elio coming next year too. It also does not look like it's going to do well. I mean, Inside Out 2 might. I think they're really banking heavily on that one. And a lot of people liked Inside Out, the first one, but I don't know if it's going to do what they think it's going to do. I mean, it might do well, but I don't know. And Elio, what I'm seeing of it, granted, we don't sing a lot. It looks to me like another boring. It just looks boring. It looks kind of like a Strange World-esque type film. And I just don't know how it's going to do. We see more. I might change my mind. But at this point in time, I'm not too impressed. And we know they're laying off there. They're laying off in different places. And Iger was bragging about all the money they were going to save, how they're headed for, instead of the $5.5 billion, the $7.2 billion savings now. So they added $2 billion to the total they were going to save. And you have to wonder what cuts they're thinking they're going to make. And they're obviously canceling shows and movies, and they're not going to do as many moving forward. He keeps bragging about that. So what's going to happen here? I don't know, but I don't think next month when Luca comes out, we're going to see it much better. These never were going to do well. There's no way they thought they were going to do well. I don't think anybody thought they were going to do well. We were joking about it before it even came out, that this was probably a stupid decision. And it's like, why would they do this unless they were going to use it either as a write-off, as, other grounds to get rid of people? Like, oh, you know what? It didn't, this stuff isn't doing well, so we're just going to get rid of you, even though you kind of, made it so it would never do well in your choices and set them up for failure. But we do know there is another Toy Story movie coming, so maybe they are still going to keep people around, but it does sound like they're getting rid of quite a few. And we know with the stuff in Canada, there's always a possibility they just roll Pixar into something else and, shuffle it on along to someplace cheaper. Who knows? But I do know Turning Red, not doing well. Didn't expect it to do well. I actually like Turning Red. I think it's cute. I also identify as a big fluffy ginger who calms down by brushing things and gets angry easily. So I felt, complete identity. I felt like I was represented in this film. Never had hots for boy bands though. Wasn't really my thing. But I did like it was a cute little movie. My daughter liked it quite a bit. It wasn't to the level that the media was spinning it. It's not the horniest movie or anything like that. Like they were trying to put a spin on it. But I'm not surprised it didn't do well in the theaters. And I'm really curious to see where Pixar goes moving forward. So what do you think? Please comment and like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.